And welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews, as always. My name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And hello, welcome to this special edition of Joes+Juice. Today is all about our top 10 classified, G.I Joe classified of 2022. Now, I know we're a little late. We did have some delays, but it's still January. So I think January is fair game to sort of look back, reflect, and sort of celebrate all the great figures we got last year before we start looking forward, okay? So we're still technically in January, fair game, top 10, but you're not just getting my top 10. You're getting two co-hosts top 10. Let me introduce them. They are, of course, Mini Plastic Multiverse Tom and Mark Tac Tac. Mark, gentlemen, welcome. Tom, you good?
Yeah, I'm all good, Dan.
Good. Mark, you well?
All good, Dan. All good, Tom. Yeah, always good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have technically 3 different top 10 lists here. So this should be interesting. And this is the great thing about these type of lists is that there's no right or wrong. It is literally personal preference, and there's just everyone has their own favorites, and there's it's just always fun to see why you like that more than this one, and da. So I love these type of things. So I'm genuinely curious to see what your lists are going to be. But before we do that, let me just go through the housekeeping real quick. We're going to go through some pickups because I've got literally a pile of Joes that may not be in my top 10 because I didn't technically get them last year. So I do want to, as I said, look forward to the year ahead of us as well. And they've started off hot. They have started off hot. So let me go to the housekeeping real quick, and then we'll get into it. So as always, welcome to the channel. Dan Who live every single Thursday. Me and the super producer Rich, and then Legends and Liquor every other Sunday. So we are in Legends and Liquor's spot this week. Legends and Liquor will be back next week. Turtles and Sea with me and the Super Turk 5000. Shout out Tanner. And then today, finally, the very first Joes+Juice of 2023, recapping everything of last year with Tom and Mark. Always appreciate, always a fun time. You can support anything today, £4 or $4, super chat, Streamlabs donation. Friday we'll read it out loud, but no pressure at all. We're just here to have some fun. And of course, if you want to become jump on the channel and talk some toys with us, then hit that join button, and that's how we can do that. All right, nice and simple. Okay, it's a brand new year. Come and get involved with Legends and Liquor and talk some toys. Right, gentlemen, let's just get straight into pickups. All right, I want to get into some pickups because there's going to be stuff here that are not going to be in my top 10. Okay, so I'm going to start off first. I do want to start off with a thank you to Gahoobery J. We know him as Matt. I didn't want to shill out the 50 quid or whatever it was for another Snake Eyes and a wolf, but I did want the all-white Timber Wolf. So he gave me this separately, little side deal. Thank you very much. So now I'm starting my own wolf pack, and I have said already on the other streams I have named this Miguel. Okay, so shout out Miguel the wolf pack. This is my second Timber now, so I'm gonna have both on the shelf. So there you go. There's it. So shout out to Matt.
You didn't want the Snake Eyes with brown trousers?
No, I didn't. I've got 2 decent Snake Eyes, and I'm happy there. And we're also getting a retro Snake Eyes this year as well, so I didn't need that one. I'll be fine. Also, shout out Compulsive Collector John. He sent me over a little gift for my birthday and Christmas, which were from Grind Studios, I believe, and they are enhancements and upgrades for the bats. And I love the bats anyway. Spoiler alert, you may see them on my top 10 somewhere. And these really do just sort of dial them up a little bit. So this one's got a cannon. This cannon actually spins as well, by the way. There's a little lever at the back. You can't see it on screen, but I promise you that the turret sort of thing spins. You can hold it. It's got the ammo box there, the same cutter as the rest of it as well, and there's a grenade launcher on this one, and again that spins, and it just really does upgrade them massively. And it's made me go down a little rabbit hole of that Grind Studios, and they've got so many upgrades and stuff for all different Joes. So these are very, very nice upgrades for the bats on the shelf. So shout out Compulsive Collector, much appreciated. They were a nice surprise. He said he was sending me something to upgrade my display, so I had no idea what it was, and pleasantly surprised with them. So 2 shout outs for that. Also, I'll go through some of the stuff I've got real quick. So Python Patrol, haven't opened him yet, but I actually do like this Lollipop Man inspired G.I Joe, so we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. These guys are great. These are the Crimson Guards. Now, these ain't going to be in my top 10s. I didn't get them in 2022, but I do love these. Maybe they'll be in a top 10 for 2023. Who knows? But really liking what we get here. There's 2 versions of this as well, isn't there? There's the Retro, which is a lighter red, and this one. So there you go. There's that. Bazooka, haven't opened him yet. I know this is the Tiger Force version. I know we're going to get the other Decode version this year, but I haven't opened him yet, so he will not be in my top 10, but he looks great as well. I finally got the Amazon exclusive Kimura, but not from Amazon. I got mine from Kapow Toys, I think, because Amazon delayed it again, and I don't understand why. So he's already open on the shelf. Obviously, Snake Eyes' little apprentice. And then here he is, Sergeant Slaughter, who I have actually opened. Really impressed with this guy. But these obviously have arrived this year, so will not be in my top 10, okay? So if you're wondering where characters like that are, not in my top 10s. I didn't get them yet, but they are great figures. So I have actually.
So Kamakura hasn't come out on Amazon UK yet?
Nope. They delayed it. So I've had it on pre-order on Amazon UK for ages, and then it was due for the 1st of January, and then they sent you an email saying they don't know what the expected release date is going to be. So it was £1 extra on Kapow, for God's sake. So I was like, I'll pay the extra £1, just get it now, and then just cancel my Amazon. So.
Because I got mine months ago from Amazon US. I don't know, but back in September or something.
Exactly. It's definitely a 2022 figure, undoubtedly. Just obviously delays have pushed it back. So, but Sergeant Slaughter's great as well. Again, probably people got him in 2022. I did not, but it is a very nice figure. I had the Action Force one on my display with my Joes, and I do really like that Action Force figure, but I think undoubtedly this one fits the aesthetic a little bit more for that sort of mind's eye Joe, especially the Sunbow sort of cartoons and animated series and stuff. So really like this. Lots of accessories. I love the little mini Sergeant Slaughter it came with. So I like that. And then last thing.
Do you reckon he's worth it? Because I was going to pass on him, so I've got the 2 of the Action Force ones.
Yeah, he's worth it. The Action Force ones are great, really good, but for the G.I Joe aesthetic, I do think it just fits in nicer. And it's that more mind's eye of the G.I Joe look in my head. But the Action Force, I've still got the Action Force one. I'm going to keep the Action Force one on display, but I'm going to take his glasses and hat off so he looks a little bit different, if you know what I mean. So still have a bit of variety on the shelf. I never got version 2. That's the one with the sleeveless arms, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I've got version 2 and 1.
Yeah.
That's what you've got as well, Mark, isn't it?
I have, yes. I've got both, yeah.
There's enough variety between the accessories, the glasses, the hat, where you can just spread them out on the display and make it work. So, last thing, I didn't think I was going to get this, but it was on one of the the Hasbro Pulse Christmas calendar days in the UK. So I ended up getting it like half price. So I got it at FOMO for half price, to be honest. Duke, the original release of Duke is getting really hard to find on the aftermarket as people try and backtrack and fill out the Joes. Of course, you need Duke. So this is another way to get Duke if you want his Tiger Stripe pants. And then the reissue of the bike that Breaker came with, but now the Tiger Force. And I have grew to like this, I really have, but I don't know how I'm going to display my Tiger Force yet. I know we've got Rakondo coming, I haven't got him yet. We've got Bazooka, Outback already, so maybe a separate section of the display, we shall see. But anyway, lots of stuff, as you can see, arrived in December. It was a very heavy December, sort of early January arrival. So my top 10 was made mid-December, so I've tried not to sneak any of the new figures in. So because I want to celebrate the figures that people that deserve the love, if you know what I mean. So we'll get to that when I do mine. But Tom, have you got anything new G.I Joe wise you want to show off? Maybe something that's not on your top 10?
I've got all the ones that you've mentioned: Bazooka, Zorana, Dusty.
Yeah, I've also got Bazooka, Dusty. You're right, but they're already on my display. Perfect. Yeah, there he is. He looks great.
There's Dusty, Crimson Guard. I've opened all my Crimson Guard. I've actually got 4 of them. There's only 3 there, but they look great. But I found them to just be a bit. I like the bats and the other troopers. That they just feel nicer in hand than I found the Crimson Guard did. Have you opened any of yours?
Yeah, I've got 2 on display. I've got mine flanking the Crimson Twins, and I had 2 on pre-order. I liked them so much when they arrived and I opened them. I went back and got 2 more, so I've now got 4. Because I liked them because they usually the Joes are all holding guns and stuff like that, where these guys are like a little bit more, I don't know, like with the swords and stuff. Just add that little bit of class.
Regal. Yeah, cool.
Regal is the word.
Part of my dislike for it, and I don't dislike them because I do like them. But I've only been messing around with them with the backpack on. So they keep falling over every time I put them in a pose. So I think, whereas most of my other troopers, I've taken the backpacks off so I can get them more tightly together. So maybe that's where I'm going wrong with them. I do like them. I kind of wish the retro ones had come along first, because then I would have just ordered 4 of those, because then they're brighter red.
Yeah, they.
And now
yeah, I feel like I can't get them now because they're going to look a bit weird displayed together. Do you know? I don't like the mishmash.
Yeah, that's what
red.
I feel like.
Yeah,
I know they said, oh, like they're an officer or something like that, but it's like, it's just a slightly different shade of red. It's going to look a bit weird.
If they were meant to be an officer or something, they would be branded as such. Just like we've got the Cobra officer, the Viper officer.
Yeah.
So I think that's some nonsense. I just think they just got different reds for the different releases. So yeah, I think I'm going to avoid the retro ones now. I always thought it was an odd choice for the retro card, considering we've only got maybe 8 characters and there's so many A-listers yet to have a retro. Like Duke, we're just talking about him. Surely he goes on a retro card, but nope. Nope, we get
and Scarlet,
exactly.
And Firefly.
We need Scarlet in a One Piece. Do you know, classic yellow One Piece like the animated series? I know they've tried to
Major
upgrade.
Blood.
Yeah, so we shall see. But I like the Crimson Guard. Any more?
Yeah, so I've been messing around. So I put a custom heads on my.
They look good.
My Python Patrol Troopers with a gas mask. With a little radiation symbol on the side. I was trying to make the yellow shirt actually mean something.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Cycling gear.
Helping kids cross the street on their way to school. That's what
exactly. It was either put a helmet on them or give them a lollipop.
Yeah.
And then I have to credit someone for this because I ripped the idea off them. As at 1987 Olds 442 on Instagram.
Okay, shout out him.
I saw him do this.
Oh. That is pretty good.
With the WWE Ultimates Mr. T head.
How have you not showed me that? That is genius.
I did put a photo on the group.
Missed it.
Everyone just like went past it. I was like,
missed
okay,
it.
Shit.
No, I missed that then completely. I like that. Mr. T.
And I'm giving him some of the gold weapons from the Valaverse sets.
That looks really good. Mr. T is now officially in the G.I Joe line. He is like a character or a celebrity from that time era that you could see being incorporated.
Guest character.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. It looks great as well. It looks legit because the G.I Joe, the Mattel WWE figures are getting really good with the digital face printing tech now as well, and the gold chains on top of that armor that looks really good. I like that a lot.
And the cool thing is that figure came with 2 heads, so you can still have the original figure displayed.
Very nice.
And then I was just sitting around. This afternoon, and I was looking at my Mezco Constantine, and you get a couple of head sculpts where he's all beaten up, and I was like, actually, the beaten up head sculpts look a bit like that. Do you know that panel in the comics where Snake Eyes has had his helmet taken off, and you can see like his all disfigured face? It's not quite the same, but the head's a bit big on this body, but
I see what you're going for.
Kind of like. It kind of works, and I thought when the Mezco one comes out, it will actually size better because it's a bit big on him at the moment. But I don't know whether if I can get hold of a spare head, I might do the whole disfigured eye properly.
That looks good. I see what you're going for. I like the beaten up sort of look there on Snake Eyes. That's really good. Nice.
And then I'll let Mark cover Action Force because I know he's got loads of stuff, but I'll just get this as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, I might backtrack and get that. I think shipping costs put me off a little bit originally, but like if you have got any not just Action Force, just any 1/12 scale sort of action figures that you just want to have a little arsenal there for ready to go, like that is perfect. Just for backup. Like figure doesn't come with guns, who cares? I've got the box, so yeah.
The weird thing is about it though is I fill it up with guns and I put like at least 1 or 2 of every weapons pack. I've got those in there as well. But I almost am like, oh yeah, but that's a really cool gun, so I don't want to give that out to anyone because then it won't be in the set.
Okay.
You almost just got this collection of guns that you don't want to give to anyone.
Make a spreadsheet. And the muzzle flashes as well, I think, really do bring the shelf to life a little bit as well. And you get loads of them with that as well. So yeah, it's still in stock, I think, on Valaverse.com. So I think if I go in and get any of because I haven't pre-ordered any of the female wave, so I think if I go back and get any of them, I will probably get the tin. But
and the bloody Pandora goes up on
maybe then
Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe then. Go on then, Mark. What have you got since last time we spoke?
Well, as you guys, I actually, I didn't actually think about bringing G.I Joe or Action Force pickups with me, so probably should have saved that for Legends and Liquor. But thinking about what you mentioned, everything you've mentioned, Dan. I think Bazooka and the Crimson Guards, and as Tom said, yeah, I picked up a few Action Force things, the Infantry Commandos from Valaverse, the Black Ops Troopers. But one thing,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, by the way, Mark hooked me and Tom up with one of them each. They were the Dorkside exclusive, and obviously, as we know, Dorkside is now collapsed. So Mark made some magic happen and managed to get us them before all that came about. So much appreciated.
I did a bit of Morse code.
Much
a bit of Morse code to Dorkside. Yeah,
much appreciated.
I made it happen. Yeah, I genuinely didn't know whether those orders were going to come through or not. So I was so pleased, obviously, when you were both able to get one. Yeah. So and they look great, don't they? They're great.
So good.
Yeah, they are great.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, really good. And what I was going to show, yes, I've got the gear pack, Tom, but not the actual. I'm waiting on some more Delta Troopers to add the gear pack to. So I'm going to make Delta Steel Brigades, basically.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I was going to show off, and it is technically, I'm going to go a bit left field here.
Okay.
It is technically sort of involved in G.I. Joe. There's an episode I was watching of G.I. Joe where Zartan says to Duke, he captures Duke and the Dreadlocks, and he says, I can't remember why, but he says, "What are you, Spider-Man?" And what I was going to show was the game 2-pack Spider-Man that I picked up for. So not really G.I. Joe based, but I thought of the link in my head. There is an episode where Zartan speaks to Duke and calls him Spider-Man. So I guess it counts.
You're on the Dan Who channel. I think I'll allow a Marvel Legend cameo. A Marvel Legend cameo is allowed. Don't worry about it. All right, let's get straight into it then, people. Let's do our top 10 G.I. Joe classified of 2022. So again, this is just classified figures. Anything can be in this list, whether it be like the single pack figures, the deluxe ones. Like this is just everything all in. And obviously, some of the recent figures I've just shown off right now are not going to be in my list because it would have been unfair. As I said, I want to celebrate the figures that have came out and I've enjoyed throughout the year and give them the credit they deserve because it has been a great year for G.I. Joe. Obviously, this was the year of the successful last year we got the HISS tank fully funded. So this year, I keep talking about 2023 as it's in the future, but it's not. We're in it right now. We are getting a HISS tank. Did all three of us get the HISS tank?
Yeah.
We did indeed. Of course we did. Cool. We wouldn't have a show called Joes+Juice otherwise. So, yes, we're all getting the HISS tank this year, and the HISS tank comes with 4 figures itself. So, like, plus all of the, like, the rumoured lists that are out there, like, just real quick, we may come back around to this at the end of the show, just to look ahead in 2023. But, like, look at all the pipeline reveals, like, absolutely ridiculous. So most of these, if not all of them, are going to be released at some point in 2023. And as we were saying, the success of the HISS tank surely has just showed Hasbro how successful this line could be and how popular it is. So, yeah, I do think 2023 is going to be a great year for G.I. Joe Classified. So I'm looking forward to it. So before we look ahead, let's celebrate what has been and let's do our top 10. So any volunteers to go first on this top 10 here? Do you want to go first, Mark? Tom, sorry, while I set up mine and Mark's list.
I sure can.
Let's do that then. Starting at number 10. Who's your number 10 classified of 2022?
Just a caveat before I start. I was looking at my list, like you were saying earlier, Dan, before we were on air, and most of these are interchangeable because I honestly was a bit like, they're all good.
Yeah.
So my number 10 is the Bat, which is amazing. He's got all the great parts. Not quite as cool as the one you showed off earlier with those like, extra parts, but still great. Yeah. And I mean, they come with the battle damage parts as well, and the cover. So you can have them displayed in so many different ways, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like, as you can imagine, right, mine, Tom and Mark's list are going to have a lot of the same figures, but just in different places, all right? So if you see me being quiet, it's because you're probably going to see that figure pop up on my list. So I'm going to try and save it until that. But great, Bat's first choice. Okay, so we'll go to Mark's number 10, if that's all right with you, Mark. Do you remember what your list is before I throw it on
can.
Screen? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Your number 10 is...
My number 10 is the Alley Viper. Yeah. So... yeah, the reason I picked this is, it's work, but it does, you know, like it's kind of a wacky 80s design. I most recently saw him pop up in the DIC cartoon, which is kind of one of the later G.I. Joe cartoons, watching a bit of it on YouTube, and this character pops up. That's where a lot of the Python Patrol characters actually sort of show up in the animated series. But yeah, Alley Viper shows up in that. Yeah, he's kind of like a Special Forces Cobra guy. So he's sort of like their guy who goes in when, you know, they need sort of more of a kind of special ops type mission. They're army builders, so he goes in.
Definitely not stealth. Definitely not stealth team, because
not stealth.
They're
exactly,
going to stand out
right.
to the enemy.
Yeah. But their sort of mantra is that they want the enemy to see them coming, to kind of strike fear into them, which is why they wear these bright colours. So, and yeah, he's loaded with weapons, just like all classifieds. He's done so well, designed so well. Yeah, just, I mean, a great figure, but yeah, a great figure.
Yeah,
so
for the record, I love this army builder. I think Tom was the first to open it, and he was telling me, like, Dan, these are really, really good, because I hadn't opened mine as quickly, and then when I did, I understood exactly what he was talking about. Again, you can pose them in so many different ways for display as well. The shield is pretty unique, as I don't think any other G.I Joe characters got like the shields or anything yet, so they can definitely create like a barrier on the display if you've got a few lined up together. And the colour scheme, I know it's crazy, but it just works, doesn't it? The purples, the oranges, it just works. I really like it, the wacky sort of designs of Cobra and Mars. So yeah, I like it. Do you like this one, Tom? Is this on your list at all, maybe?
I do. I'm not going to say too much.
Okay, all right, cool. I don't think it's on my list, but definitely love this figure, and could easily be interchangeable with something on my list. But I'll go to my number 10. And my number 10 is Outback, the Tiger Force Outback. So I sort of have a soft spot for this guy, because I got this, like, I didn't realise at the time, but I didn't realise our American friends were having so much trouble getting these, because these were Target exclusives. And this in the UK, they arrived, and I thought it was a down week or whatever for Marvel Legends, so I did a review on the channel, and it ended up like blowing up and doing really, really well, like 25,000+ views later. And it's a great figure as well. I really liked it. It was one of my favourite G.I. Joes at the time of doing that recording. I kept calling him Old Man Outback. We knew it was inevitable that we get Outback with the survival on the white t-shirt, which we are still to get this year. But this, with the tiger on this, it was like a European or Brazilian exclusive of some point. So it is accurate to, or it's got a nice little tribute to what it was representing. And he came with his torch, American friends, not a flashlight. It's a torch, okay? I got a lot of stick for that, but it's a torch. And just really like this figure. So I said I got a soft spot for him. So I definitely had to sneak into my top 10. So at 10, I'm putting the Tiger Force Outback. There we go. Nice one. Okay. Back to you then, Tom, for your number 9.
Well, Mark's just had it, so it's the
that's perfect.
The Alley Viper Trooper.
Very nice.
Which again, just an amazing figure. I don't know what it is about, but figures with balaclavas, and I think they do the eyes really well. It just works really well, having those kind of evil eyes behind the balaclava. And we've got so many figures in the line like that now, where it kind of, I don't know, something for me anyway. I must be a bit old.
No, you're not wrong, because like all the army builders, like the reason they can be army builders is because you don't get to see those individual faces. You just get the glimpse of the eyes. But the digital face printing tech that they've been using is really good, and you get a lot of character just in that like sort of area there. And like with them as well, you can have the visor up, the visor down, and just still add a little bit of variety. And that's what you need with army builders. You need variety. Like you can't just have clones on the shelf. You like to give them all their own little unique twists. Like at least I try to. All right, have all of yours displayed a little bit differently, or maybe holding a different weapon, or like that?
Yeah, like exactly. With the visor down or something. And I mean, obviously these you can only do them visor down and visor up, but you got the weapons and stuff to store around.
Shield as well,
and
of course.
The shields.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have any of mine with the shields on, because I've got them so stacked closely together that the shields just are going to knock everything over. But I think what's cool with the other troopers, going just slightly off on a tangent, was I didn't mention it with these guys, but their normal head, they've got like a darker skin tone than a lot of the other troopers. Then you can start swapping the heads around to like give more different looks on the other troopers as well, which is cool. Yeah,
I did notice that as well. Very nice. I like the diversity and just mixing it up in the display. Like the more the line grows, the more you can sort of do those little mods, that kit bashing, if you will. I'm not really a massive customizer myself, but I don't mind swapping a head or swapping some armor or whatever without any fear of breaking it. So very nice. But again, as me and Mark just said, really like that for sure. Mike Hex in the chat, channel member for 12 months. Thank you very much, Mike. He says, sup, all from the hospital. Serpentor, Sergeant Slaughter, Cobra Bats, Fiona, Storm Shadow, Spirit, Stalker, Twins, and Old Outback, my top 10 Joes 2022. Thank you very much, Mike, and get well, my friend. I know you're not doing very well at the minute, so sending nothing but positive vibes your way, my friend. Rest up, heal up. And I'm sure you'll be back talking toys with us on Legends of Liquor. But great figures in that list for sure. And thank you to everyone else in the chat, by the way. Not neglecting yous. I can see 65 people watching us live here on a Sunday afternoon. I appreciate yous. Halfway through, I'll come to the chat and say hello to everybody. But let's keep the show rolling. And let's go to Mark's number 9. You ready for it, Mark?
Okay. I'm ready. Yeah, ready to go then. So
go.
my number 9 is Spirit. Yes. Yeah, I mean... I think probably for a lot of people, this character will be a lot higher on their lists, and justifiably so. He's an absolutely great release. Released in the same wave as Storm Shadow, and because that being the case, because originally before there was Storm Shadow versus Snake Eyes, there was Storm Shadow versus Spirit. They were kind of the two, you know, who battled against each other in G.I Joe. But yeah, an amazing release. You know, yeah, it is in a way so hard to number them because they're all so great. I think why he's number 9 for me is because I didn't have the character when I was younger, so I don't have as much attachment to the character as maybe some of the others on my list or some of the others we're mentioning. But you know, a phenomenal release again. You know, freedom. His eagle's got full articulation. You know, absolutely great. So yeah, another fabulous release.
Yeah, I do, like you said, I think character attachment or favoritism or whatever it is, for whatever reason, whether you had it, maybe you liked him from the cartoon or had it as a kid or just like the design now, I do think our favoritism and bias definitely influence our lists in some way. And that, again, that's what's great. That's what makes everyone's list different. We're not counting down technically the best figures. We're counting down our personal favourite top 10s, and that's why each one's completely different. So yeah, great figure, and again, I have no doubts we'll be talking about it again very, very soon. Jumping to my number 9, cheating a little bit here, but I'm sure you'll both forgive me for this one. I'm going for the Crimson Twins. Now, these guys, again, like my number 10 pick, just have a story attached to them that I just can't shake at this point. These eluded me last year. I had the pre-order locked in. Like day one, they went up for pre-order. I pre-ordered. But for some reason, I seem to be the last person on the planet to get them. So the first time I seen them both in person, I was at MCM London at the Comic-Con, and they were both there on the shop floor on In-Demand Toys. It was where I met Craig. Craig's in the chat. It's where I was like, okay, I can't leave them. They're both right there in my graphs. Forget my pre-order. I'm buying these right now. And while I was thinking about it, Craig lingered over, and I was like, shit, if this geezer's about to buy them, I'm going to go mad. Luckily, it was Craig, and he turned around and goes, Dan, you need these. And I'm like, yes, I'm buying them right now. So I finally got these, and they're great figures as well. They really, really are. Obviously, it's the same figure swapped. One's got the scar. I think Zamont's got the scar, I think, on his face.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just look great. They're a fun character as well with the lore and stuff. But again, I'm sure these will pop up again later in the list. So I'll keep my mouth shut. But for me, just fun figures. And again, was story attached to it always makes them memorable for me. So there you go. Number 9 for me is the Crimson Twins, and you can't have these separately, okay? They're the same figure with 2 different heads. You've got to pair these together. I think that's fair game from this. So there you go. Okay, back to number 8 now. So Tom, your number 8.
My number 8 is Zarana.
Ah, nice.
Who is, I think, possibly the best female in the line so far, just because she's got a bit of attitude, and she's got double joints on the knees and on the elbows. She's got the alternating hairline.
Yeah, you've gone for the
weapon.
You've went for the alternate hair, haven't you? There, that's more of the classic looking hair, right?
Yeah, I went for the more classic. I did swap the other one on for a bit, and then I swapped back again. So this is the one. Is this the one on Impact Hair? I can't remember now.
That's the second one. That's the second head sculpt.
That's the one that's loose. Okay.
Yeah. The first head sculpt is the more modernised one with a different colour. There's like a different bit of colour in her hair. So that one's the more sort of classic looking one, I think. But yeah, the sister of Zartan, right?
Yeah.
Marauders and all of that. I'm sure we're going to be getting more of them this year.
Yeah, let's
A female as well, a female bad guy. We don't get many. We've got the Baroness, but apart from Baroness, she's the only female bad guy, right? So far in the line, at least.
In the line so far,
yeah.
I got her towards the end of the year, so not in my top 10 list, but again, definitely worthy of an honourable mention. She looks great. I think if I spent a little bit more time with her, she may have crept in there, because like you said, it's always good to see some extra females in the line, especially one as gangster as that one. And options are always a good thing, for sure. You agree, Mark?
Definitely, yeah. I like you, Dan. I received mine sort of in the end of the year, and I haven't actually opened mine yet, so she hasn't made my list either. But yeah, I like the Dreadnoks. Yeah, they're great characters. They're kind of, they're so vibrant and full of character. So yeah, really, really good choice.
Derek in the chat is saying the female ninja for the Cobra as well. Very true. We did get the female ninja in the 2-pack for sure. I don't think I got. That's the blue ones, isn't it? I don't think I got them. But I know a few people love them for sure. Okay, let me just skip to make sure I've got it ready to go. We are looking at 8, ain't we? Let me find it. Number 8. Haha, here we are. I'm ready for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Let me just put mine up ready to go as well. Okay, Mark, you're number 8. Over to you. Let me skip back.
Okay, my number 8, Dan, and Tom is the Cobra Officer. Yeah. A sort of really great update of an army builder. The Cobra Trooper and the Cobra Infantryman were great figures initially, and this just takes it a notch higher. In a way, it would be nice if they do some kind of re-release of the Cobra Trooper on this kind of mold, really, or some version of the Cobra Trooper on this mold, because just excellent sort of release. I guess again, the only reason why he's a bit lower down on my list is because I already had the Cobra Trooper and Infantrymen, so he was kind of not a brand new army builder in that sense. It was kind of building upon what was already there, but a great release. Yeah,
it's like a more slicker, sort of smarter iteration of the infantry Cobras, isn't it? Like the dark blues match. Obviously, he's the officer as well, so you don't really need to go as crazy army building him as the infantry. You just need a few spattered around to give that little bit of difference. But not on my top 10. But again, I do love the figure. Like you said, a sort of more upgraded version of the infantry. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, it's a great figure. I mean, I only got one of them in the end, but they are easier to articulate than the original ones, because it was a shame that they came in that massive
big gear limiter.
Made them hard to move. But it's a great figure. I mean, it's the base of this figure as well, isn't it? So I'm sure we're just going to get more and more versions of it down the line.
I think I got 2. I think I've got like 10 infantry guys, so I got like 2. So I got, just as I said, you just need a couple officers in there to keep the other guys in their ranks. Do you know what I mean? Keep them in check. So I got 2 officers there, and I was like, he comes with so many little bits as well. It's like a little game in itself, figuring out where they go. Like, okay, that goes in there, that goes in there, and I do love that you can store all their accessories on them on display as well. So saves you having loads of little loose accessories. They're just all on the figure, ready to go when you want to rechange and repose and stuff like that. But nice choice there, number 8. Again, honourable mention, but not on my list. What is on my list though, my number 8 is Stalker. So again, figure, really liked it. It was one that we sort of got maybe 3rd quarter of the year, and it was one that I kept in box and it didn't open for a while. And I was, when I opened it, I was like, why did I wait so long to open this guy? Like, he's so good. Few different options for posing as well. And again, nice to have some Joes, some actual good guys. I'm saying we need more Joes in the line. We got plenty of Cobra Troopers. They are outranking our Joes at the minute. So nice to add some diversity and new characters to the Joes line. And Stalker, I think, was a great addition. Really fun to pose up and stuff like that as well. So yeah, really like it. And anyone else? I'm sure this might pop up on other people's lists later. So I'll keep it quiet and throw it back to Tom for your number 7, Tom.
My number 7 is a repeat, because you've already mentioned it, Dan. Is Outback. Serious.
Very nice. Yeah, I told you, I just got a soft spot for him now. Old Man Outback.
Great figure. I think you got him before me or Mark. I remember being like kind of blown away by your review, thinking, wow, this guy looks really good. And in hand, he's proved that. He's just got some cool accessories. I think the gun's a bit different to everyone else's. Like he's got the flashlight, he's got the shovel, he's got a cool looking
Tom,
backpack.
what did I tell you, Tom? It's a torch, all right? It's a torch, all right? Don't be scared to use these English terms, all right?
Torch, sorry.
Torch, there you go.
I will remember in future. I do generally call them torches.
I've got to say, you tell your
Been
kids.
Americanized by listening
You
to
have.
people who are American to
You have.
just default to the American version. I even love little details like the tape on the gun grip and stuff like that. It's just nice little details like that added in.
Yeah,
It's cool, and I can't wait till we get the younger version. And then this can be his dad.
Yeah,
or his
exactly. I'm
older
justifying
brother or something.
I'm justifying a way to keep them both on the display, absolutely, because they're just great figures. And the red head is completely different. But that's the next wave, I think, as well. So it shouldn't be too long. I've seen lots of promo images. I don't think I've seen anyone with it in hand as such, but I do think that next wave with CoverGirl and Falcon and Outback is next up. So hopefully sooner rather than later. But I'll skip Mark because again he may pop up a little bit later. But I'll throw it to you for your number 7, Mark. What's your number 7?
My number 7. Well, it is a repeat here from what Tom was mentioning earlier. My number 7 is not the Alley Viper there, Dan. It's come up as the Alley Viper.
Oh, that's mine. Okay, that's mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you pause.
You
pause. Well, sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah.
Alley Viper's number 7. I wasn't sure if I had it in my list or not, but it seems like I have because I really, really like the figure. It was like just fun. Like Tom was telling me, these came at the same time as the bats. And like I opened the bats first, so I was having so much fun with the bats. I sort of neglected these, and then when I finally did open them up, I was like, yeah, these are great as well. So I've actually got a couple on display with the shields, and yeah, they're just fun. As I said, like Tom was saying, they're really fun. So there you go. My number 7 is the Alley Vipers, and a crazy colour scheme. They stand out as well, and I always love it when something pops on a display where your eyes are drawn to it, and like when you've got a crew of these, I think I've got maybe 3 or 4 of these on the display right now, and your eyes are just drawn to the bright orange and purple. So there you go. That's my number 7. Now we'll jump to Mark's number 7, which is
the Bat. The Bat as as you were showing off, Dan, at the start of the stream, and as Tom was mentioning, I always liked the Bat when I was quite young. I always remember seeing it in the original Joe line. Never had any. Always one that I wanted. And now we've got classifieds, and we've got 6-inch scale versions. Ironically, I actually sort of pre-ordered loads of Super 7 Ultimates ones, because at that point this didn't exist. This has now come out, and we're still waiting on the Super 7 Ultimates versions to come out, which are more cartoon accurate. But yeah, I mean, it's a great release, and we're gonna, as well as we have seen in the pre-orders, as you mentioned, that wave coming up, Dan, we're going to get another version. Obviously, we've had the Python Patrol version. We're going to get another version coming up, and probably even more in the future. But great release.
Yeah, I have no doubts it's Repaint City with these, but I don't mind it because it's such a fun figure. Like you said, we've got the Python Patrol version. We've got the Red Crimson version, which is a new concept for Classified. I don't think there was ever a Crimson version back in the day. But going back to the Super 7 G.I Joes, just real quick while Mike's in the chat, Mike did sort of find a little nugget. Brian Flynn commented on one of his posts on Instagram confirming that Wave 2 of the G.I Joe Ultimates are on the way and will be in stock before Wave 1. So they are on the way. And I do think Wave 1 and 2 will be quite rapid quickly, but 2 first, which happened with Thundercats as well. So that's a Super 7 trait for some reason, but there you go. So and I think because our androids, Mark, you can get away with it. You can get away with it,
absolutely.
Maybe. Just a couple around, maybe you can get away with it. We shall see.
There was a leaked Python Patrol version of it as well that was shown a couple of days ago.
No, I think maybe we'll talk about it at the end of maybe we will. But until then,
the Crimson Guard, wasn't it? It was the Crimson Guard.
Yeah. I'm sure we will see more Batso. Absolutely. Let's go back to Tom then for your number 6, Tom.
My number 6 is Storm Shadow, but I don't have. He's still in the display. He's on a stand and he's going to track dogs.
I've got you. There you go. There he is.
A great looking figure. I've already swapped the hands out on mine for just flesh coloured hands, so he looked a bit more cartoony. Which I suppose when we get the retro version, we'll get the proper wrapped wrists with the bare hands. But But other than that, he's pretty perfect. I think there's not much you could change that would make him better.
Completely
So I
pinless
just
as
think
well.
the articulation's pretty perfect as well.
Yeah, came
I
with.
think it comes with an absolute bunch of kit to go with it.
Yeah, this is absolutely in my list, so I'm going to save my comments for them. But yeah, great figure for sure.
Question for you, Dan and Tom, because when I have a little sort of pose and play with Storm Shadow, and obviously and the Snake Eyes and Timber too, so it makes me want a pinless Snake Eyes. Do you feel like, because obviously Storm Shadow's pinless, it makes me want a pinless Snake Eyes?
As a little counterpart. Yeah, for sure. I reckon the future they're moving in that direction now. As I said, the line's flying. But I'm going to jump straight to you, Mark, because it makes a lot of sense, because your number 6 is also...
It is Storm Shadow as well. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the Storm Shadow that we wanted, isn't it? I mean, we had that Arctic Storm Shadow at the start.
I forgot about that guy. I don't even think I've unboxed him, to be fair.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't need him anymore.
Exclusive. Now, that version of Storm Shadow is actually a good guy version of Storm Shadow from, again, the DIC cartoon, where Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes are both on G.I Joe. But this is the version we want. I mean, there's obviously that other version. It's got the kind of grey lines, which I'm sure we'll no doubt be getting, at some point in the future in the line. But yeah, he's just decked out so well, isn't he? 2 swords, bow and arrow. Yeah, absolutely great.
Yeah, for sure. And that other Arctic one, I think I will get out on the display, but I need some more Arctic-inspired characters to go with him.
Yeah.
So I think Snowjob's on the way, and maybe some of us. Yeah. So, again, I'm sure we will start moving into all these different themes, and as long as we get our canoe at some point, me and Tom will be happy, that's for sure. Okay, jump into my number 6 then. Talking about a canoe, you may need it to escape this guy. It is the Croc Master and Fiona, and Fiona's little. I don't think they named the 2 little baby ones, but you definitely get 2 little baby ones in there. And this is just a fun G.I Joe, like a crazy character design. And that crocodile is massive. Like, it makes it awkward to display, which makes me have a love-hate relationship with it, because I want to display Crocmaster with the crocodile like that with the chain, but it just takes up so much real estate. Instead, I've just got the 2 little crocodiles just sort of sitting on his shoulder and stuff. But it's imposing, looks great, crazy character design. I know Mad Hatter does an impression of him with the Bane and stuff, which makes me laugh. But I love we're getting the more, we've got Storm Shadow. Not Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes with Timber. We've got a Spirit with Freedom. We've got the Crocodile now, Fiona with Crocmaster. We can start a little G.I Joe zoo soon. But Crocmaster, I think, was got to be in my top 10 for just fun factor alone. I really, really like it. So there you go. That's my number 6. So before we get into our top 5, let me just jump to the chat and see who is here. So we're about to get into it. We've counted down from 10 to 6. So before we get into our top 5, let me just say hello to the people in the chat who are watching us live. We've got over 70 people here now watching us on a Sunday afternoon, which I appreciate. So can I get the chat up on screen? I can try to get the chat up on screen. Let's do that. Okay, cool. So if you're in the chat, say hello. Let me say hello back to you. I see we've got Damien in the chat. Damien says, thanks again, Dan, for helping me complete the twin team. Yeah, I think I sent Damien Zaymont. I think we did a little switcheroo. I got Jabba the Hutt for my Black Series, and he got Zaymont. So thank you very much, Damien, for that epic switcheroo. Because I ended up with 2, because my pre-order did eventually come in many, many months later, for sure. Mike Hex, obviously, still in the chat. Get well soon, Mike. Embered Wings in the chat, still bummed I missed that Arctic Storm Shadow. I wonder if that's hard to get now on the aftermarket. I haven't really looked, but it was one of the first year releases, wasn't it? Maybe the first Amazon exclusive, I think.
I bought 3 of those.
Oh, there you go.
I painted 2 black and just turned them into Black Ninjas.
Sorry about that. Embered Wings. You're not getting one now, unless you want a black version. Christopher Allen's in the chat. How you doing, Christopher? How you doing on a Sunday afternoon? Captain K, Tyler, Shane Shooter, Jarhead, Darren. There you go. I knew the chat was delayed. I was like, finally, there it is. It was a bit slow to catch up. Mark Rose, Craig in the chat. He says, hi guys, just unboxed the Mafex Batman in blue. Wow. Absolutely, great figure for sure. But thank you very much for joining us here. I can see disavowed action figures in the chat as well. I'm just scrolling up a little bit. Ronaldo, Les, Miguel was in the chat. He must have heard me talking about him. I was petting you, Miguel. I was petting you. There you go. Just give you a little stroke. He likes it when I stroke him. He doesn't. The expression doesn't seem that way, but he does really. Jay's Toys Collection UK is in the chat as well. Go and check out his channel recently. He's been unboxing a lot of toys. Heating up bumholes. True story. Go and check out his channel to find out the full story, of course. Yeah, thank you very much. He's like $80. Says Ravana, like $80 for the Storm Shadow. See, it's crazy that figures like that who lingered for ages just at retail, as soon as they go jump up on the aftermarket. The Wolfpack is still in the chat. There you go, Miguel. How are you doing? Okay, cool. So we're going to get into it now, people. Our top five G.I. Joes of 2022, okay? So we're heading towards the podium now. Who are these two that didn't make the podium? Let's find out. So we'll go to Tom for your number 5 G.I. Joe Classified of 2022.
And my number 5 is Stalker.
There you go.
And I think what blew me away with this figure was when I honestly, I was a bit like, yeah, Stalker's cool, but it's just another Green Army guy. So I'm looking forward to the figure, but I don't think he's going to blow me away. And when I open him up, he's all pinless. He articulates very nicely. He feels almost import quality. I mean, the only thing he lacks is a bunch of hands and an extra head. But other than that, he's got pretty much everything you'd get in an import figure. So I was super impressed with him. And he's just great fun to play around with.
I forgot he was like one of the first sort of completely pinless sort of figures to arrive. Well, one of the first at least. And yeah, as I said, he's in my top 10 for sure. It's just I don't think I give him the attention he deserved at first. But great figure. Is he in your list yet, Mark? I'm trying to think. What's in your list?
He is in my
list.
All
right. Okay. Well, we'll wait then. Yeah. We'll wait for your opinions on Stalker. But we will jump to your number 5 straight away. And one that I just mentioned at my number 6 is Mark's number 5.
That's right. So, yeah, as Dan said, great taste, Dan. Crocmaster's my number 5. Now, a couple of things I learnt with Crocmaster recently, or something I learnt with Crocmaster recently. There is a Python Patrol version.
Oh, I did not know that.
So,
is it a bright yellow crocodile?
So, it's actually a red crocodile.
Oh, I was joking.
Yeah,
but
bluff. So, there's... Yeah, I think it was a mail away kind of exclusive in not maybe the original line, but the 3 and 3/4 inch line. There was a version that was a Python Patrol version, so it's possible that the Hasbro team may reuse this, and we may get a Python Patrol classified version. But yeah, Crocmaster was another one from my childhood where there's a couple of characters I really wanted in the classified, who are Cobras in the classified form. He's one of them. Another's Raptor, another's Big Boa. I remember seeing sort of a book panel, actually, front cover, where they're all sort of fighting each other. Big Boa, Crocmaster, and Raptor. So I kind of like to see Raptor and Big Boa in classified form. But yeah, Crocmaster is one of the ones I was hoping, and we've got him.
Yeah, I don't think he's too far away. I think Big Boa is on one of those leaked lists for the year, so we shall see. But talking about...
I don't think Big Boa is on the leaked list.
He is, did you say?
I don't think he is.
Oh, he isn't. Okay, I'm making it up then. There's so many on that blue list. It is hard to remember.
He has the same body type. I mean, you'd think you could reuse a lot of the parts from Crocmaster to make a Big Boa, I would have thought.
Like, when you said Python Patrol, Crocmaster as well, like I like the Python Patrol concept as like a little sub-team, but I don't need every single figure redone in that style, if you know what I mean. Like, just a few, just for a little sub-team, but yeah, I don't need you're going to have to duplicate your display just for the alternative versions at this point. So, and I don't.
If a green crocodile's pissing you off with the way it mucks up your display, a red crocodile.
Red crocodile, like, I know it's G.I. Joe and it's an exaggerated world, but at least it's like seeped in some type of realism. Where a red crocodile, I don't know, it's like an albino crocodile I can take, but a red crocodile, I don't know how far my reality will slip for that. But let's get into my number 5. Talking about animals, one that I did really like is Freedom. Freedom and Spirit here are great. By the way, I love that Spirit, right? just the display options in this guy alone. So he comes with a little perch that you can sit freedom on. He's also got peg holes on his forearm, so you can sit freedom on. So you can like display him all these different ways with the bird, and it's just so dynamic. And like the bird has separate wing accessories, so the wings are all spread out. It's just a fun figure. I've seen so many people take pictures of this guy. I've seen people with him on a horse as well, which looks great because he's a tracker, of course. And yeah, just to figure that when I took out the box, another one I was like, why did I wait so long to open you up? It's just a fun figure, really well done, yeah, and it's like a good price point as well, because he comes with a lot of accessories plus the bird, and you're not paying that deluxe price point, you're paying regular sort of single line prices. So I appreciate when they do that, when they pack out the box and it feels like you're actually getting your money's worth. And I really like Spirit. So yeah, he's at my number 5 for sure. But I just think that maybe that character attachment isn't there for me to push him further up the list, but a great classified figure, worthy of being in the top 5 for sure. So there's that. Okay, jumping into our number 4 spot. Over to you, Tom. Number 4.
So my number 4 is Crocmaster, who we just had twice already.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So he slowly got pushed up. So he's like from 6 to 5. He got to 4. So he's going up.
I would put him higher, but because the Crocodile's amazing. I'd say the Crocmaster he looks great, but maybe he's not. He doesn't quite hit the high peak that the Crocodile does in terms of his articulation. But he does look great on the shelf, and the Crocodile's amazing. If he'd been up there as good as the Crocodile, he might have even made my number 1, but because I do love those two.
Yeah, I don't know where that Crocodile's going to go. At the minute, it's just like on the shelf to the side of my display because I just don't know where to put him. I told you, those 2 other little crocodiles are fine. They can more of them are welcome. Yeah, as long as we don't get a red crocodile in the future, we don't need it. If we get a red crocodile before we get a canoe, I'm going to riot. Okay, jumping to Mark's number 4. Over to you, Mark.
Okay, my number 4 is well, he's been mentioned a couple of times by you guys, Tiger Force Outback, and I just loved this figure when it came out. Yeah, I mean I think I can kind of remember in the original line him as a European exclusive. I definitely remember the sort of original version with obviously the white shirt saying Survival and the ginger hair. But yeah, he's just such a great release. He's fully decked out with a torch and all the other sort of accessories, and just a phenomenal kind of release. And I think he kicked off the Tiger Force line, didn't he? From what I can remember, he was the first. He was very sought after. The Americans, obviously, Target distribution was a mess, and I think a lot of the American Joe fans were very frustrated that he looked so good and they couldn't get him. But a year later, or less than a year later, let's say maybe 8 months later, he seems to be all over the place. Like I keep seeing people taking pictures of like shelves stacked with this guy. So hopefully everyone's had the opportunity to get him now because he's a great figure. But I know some people sort of waited because people hadn't got this yet, and then the actual original Deco one got announced and went up for pre-order. So some people were like, fine, I'll just skip him. But I'd honestly, like Tom said, it's worthy of finding a place for both him and the original one on the shelf, because definitely
they're just great figures. And like, yes, it's like a bit of a repaint, but they still look different enough if you put them separate on the shelf. Again, this is Tiger Force, so I have this in the Tiger Force section of your display, and then the other out back somewhere else. But yeah, a great figure.
The only thing I wish is that they'd done a different head sculpt for one of them, so that then
you can mix it up.
It just looked like it was just the same guy with his hair painted white.
Yeah. Like a different expression, like an angry face, or
or like different length hair or something.
Yeah.
It's different.
Old Man Outback, like Old Man Hawkeye with the long like hair flowing. Yeah, that would be good. I wouldn't have minded that. Going to my number 4 then, just a character we've already spoke about, but one that I think is so important to the Joe line. It was so good that we could add him in a more iconic look. Now, I know it's not 100% accurate, and I always say I want my mind's eye of figures. This is close enough where my mind doesn't dispute it. Like, I look at it, I see the white ninja outfit, I see the hood, I see the weapons. It's Storm Shadow, and when it comes to building out the villains, like I love the Cobras because they have so many obscure, crazy villains like Crystal Ball and whatever. But you need this guy on a shelf. You need the Cobra Commander and you need Storm Shadow, 1 and 2, Destro as well. But yeah, so good. And we're going to get the retro version, which is a little bit more accurate to the look that people wanted. This one's been a bit more modernized, I think, for the classified era. But as I said, it's close enough for me. And you can display him so many ways as well because of his weapons, where hood up, hood down, bow and arrow, not bow and arrow, weapons, the swords. Of course, you can give him some guns from someone else. And again, just white and clean. Like, I wouldn't go into battle wearing white myself, but this guy's brave enough to do it. Because no one's going to make him bleed, all right? He's not scared of the laundry bill. But yeah, great figure for sure. And again, for me, I do, like I said earlier, I do think character attachment definitely influences these lists a little bit. And for me, I think he was an important character. And if I had to make cuts in my collection, I don't think I could cut Storm Shadow from my Cobra display. I think he needs to be there. So there you go. Didn't quite make the podium, but definitely love this figure at number 4. So there you go. So now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into the podium places. I love this part. This is like bronze, silver, and gold. These are the big 3, our 3 favourite G.I Joe classified figures of 2022. And so far, everyone's been different. I think you've had one on the same sort of ranking. But other than that, it's been quite variety of mix here. So let's get into it. Number 3. Okay, so Tom, starting at you. Who's taking the bronze medal?
Number 3 is Spirit.
Aha, great fig.
It's funny that you were talking about Storm Shadow there, because I kind of, in my mind, I kind of thought, well, Storm Shadow will be higher up my rankings than this guy, and they both kind of turned up at the same time. And I think maybe Storm Shadow was everything I expected him to be, so therefore he didn't wow me as much, whereas this guy was almost more than I expected him to be, and that's why he's kind of blown me away.
Absolutely.
More than that character, and why he's higher up.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, because it was like a character you're getting because it looks great and you can add it to the Joes, but then when you open it up and see how good it is, it sort of takes you by surprise.
And like you say, I think just all the accessories, the different functions with Freedom, and it's an amazing head sculpt, and the weapon's pretty good as well. And it's just an all right. It kind of it sings classic, but also has a touch of modern. So I think that's what's.
Do you know what's weird, right? The bird. You'd think that an eagle sitting on your shoulder or sitting on your hand just would look awkward in action figure form, but it just looks good. It just makes sense. It looks like. Just looks right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look weird
it's
or
very
awkward.
posable. It's very posable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got life.
You kind of expect them to just do this lump of plastic, and it's going to look, like you say, awkward sitting on him. But because you can tweak it and move it around and put it in different places on the figure, it looks great.
Yeah, no, I've got him in the same sort of pose on my shelf, with the bird on the perch on the backpack. Yeah, you gotta have Freedom attached there somehow. Unless you get them on a bit of fishing wire with the wings out, just sort of hovering.
Yeah.
I haven't quite went there yet, but it's tempting. With a crocodile like jumping up at it, trying to get it. But no, Freedom's great. Really, really like and Spirit, of course. Yeah, and again, value. As I said, it wasn't a deluxe. It was like a single pack figure. Came out in the same way as Storm Shadow, and yeah, 2 heavy hitters in that way for sure. Okay, let me get the top 3 queued up for me and Mark. There we go. There's mine, and there is Mark's. Okay, over to you, Mark. We've mentioned him a few times, and he's been pushed up a little bit further on your list.
Certainly has. Yeah, we mentioned him before, but Stalker, yeah, is my number 3. It's odd, isn't it? I suppose because I didn't have any connection with Spirit, and he was lower down on my list. And in a way, I don't really have much connection with Stalker from like previous G.I Joe, but I think I've put him higher just because, like what Tom says, he's almost import quality, comes with so many like accessories, done so well. Yeah, I mean, you know, in my display, he sits next to Valorverse Action Force Trigger, and some of the Delta Troopers, and with that green he's got, he kind of sort of fits in. I feel like in with them. Nice. But yeah, just a phenomenal figure.
Yeah, as I said, he's made all of our top 10s, just slowly got pushed up as we went along. But yeah, absolutely a great figure. If you haven't got him, get him. Honestly, he's that good. Especially at the price point with Joes at the minute. I don't feel bad about, like, I know there's a lot of controversy at the minute with Legends and stuff, but with Joes, I feel good, like, at this price point with what you get and how good the figures are. So don't sleep on that while it's here, because you never know what the future holds. So yeah, great figure. Okay, my number 3 is one that we haven't mentioned yet, and I think maybe I'm the only one who can mention it. Dr. Mindbender. Now, again, right, it's weird, right? Because I feel like I've got a nostalgic attachment to this guy, but I don't. Like, it's so weird, and it only works this way in my brain. So I apologise in advance, right? But I loved X-Men, not X-Men. I do love X-Men. Action Man, yeah. I loved Action Man growing up, like the actual dolls. They were dolls, and they're
the 1990s Action Man.
Yes. I brought a brand new one this week, and I took it upstairs. I should have showed it off on Joes+Juice. I brought Raid, and never mind. I'll take a picture for Instagram. But anyway, Action Man's nemesis was Dr. X. All right, it was a guy with a mustache, a monocle. He always wore purple, weird outfits. Dr. X was undoubtedly inspired by Dr. Mindbender. Now, will I ever know that for sure? I don't know unless I speak to Ron Rudat, because he designed this guy. Maybe I'll give Ron a ring and ask the question and find out for sure. But in my mind, Dr. X was inspired by Mindbender. So even though like I have no attachment to Mindbender, it feels like I do. And again, this is just a me thing. But I still think it's a great G.I Joe as well. And he's that every crazy evil organization needs a wacky, crazy scientist, right? And this is Cobra's crazy scientist. He made Torpentor. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he's completely pinless. He's got soft goods as well. Now, there's no bendy wire or anything in the soft goods. I do think that would have ranked him maybe a little bit higher. But he still looks good. I know some people had issues with a little bit of bleeding on the jacket. Now, I think I've got it there a little bit, but it's so subtle to the fact where I'm never going to take his jacket off. You can't see it on display, so it's not something that bothers me personally. But it's so minimal if it is there. I know it looks like he's come straight out of some gay club, but that's absolutely fine. He rocks it well. The face sculpt's really well. The monocle's really good. He comes with loads of accessories. Like, he comes with all the accessories you need that he used to create Torpentor. He came like with the skull and like of who was it? It was I can't remember all the. I should have written notes, but he comes with all the accessories that you need to create that sort of weird scene. He has like this hose that I can attach to him as well. So I don't know. I just really like this guy. Like, as I said, even though it felt like I had this nostalgia to him, the figure came in the deluxe set. I do think you could have got probably more for the price point with him. And I do have a feeling you're going to be able to have the opportunity to get him single pack down the line. But I have no regrets getting him. I got him from, again, I've seen him in person. I brought him the same time I got the twins, so I couldn't leave them on the shelf. They were right there in my grasps. I had to get him. The pre-orders on Hasbro Pulse have been delayed a little bit, annoyingly, and I think that's why you guys don't have him, right? Do any of you have him? Yeah, so UK Pulse have pushed him back a little bit, but I got mine off in demand, so I got import stock. So worth it. Very happy to have him. I have him on the shelf, flanked by the Crimson Twins, flanked by some Crimson Guards, and it just looks really good. He stands out, looks great. Really, really like. I think yous are going to be impressed with him when you get him in hand for sure.
It looks great.
Yeah, great figure. Great figure. If you've had him, I feel confident he would be in your top 10. Honestly, he's really, really nice. So there you go. My number 10, number 3, sorry, is Mindbender of our top 10. And now we're getting to our runners-up, into our second places. So, Tom, who just missed out on being the best classified in 2022 for your collection? Who's number 2?
It's Bazooka. Bazooka is probably my favorite G.I Joe character. But I was kind of like disappointed that we started off with the white shirt version. And I think in my mind I was like, I don't really want to give him too much attention because I want to enjoy the red version when it turns out with the proper looking Bazooka. But he's so damn good that actually he's kind of jumped. I think he was like 8 on my list, and then slowly he's like crept up to like 2 over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, the fact that you can get 2 hands on this thing is impressive in itself.
Yeah, the pose, it looks natural, doesn't it? It looks natural, which is great.
Because some of these bazookas that you get with Marvel Legends, I can never get them to hold it in a decent way. And when I first got this out of the pack, I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold it, but he actually holds it in such a nice way. And it's a shame the rocket does come out, but it's a shame there isn't some kind of firing firing effect or
Yeah,
some kind of firing mechanism to like ping it out.
I've seen some people put the.
I didn't play with them like that, but
I've seen people put the muzzles from do you know, like Tony Stark, Iron Man of Marvel Legends, put that in there and then wrap around the fire. Is it the smoke effect from Riri Williams' foot? Do you know, like the and they put it at the back of the bazooka so it looks like the cannon's firing type thing. I've seen pictures online and it doesn't look bad at all.
I've got some Mezco like smoke effects with a missile on the end. So I should try those out. Really, I hadn't really thought about it. I've just shoved his one in there and not.
So I want to say that I've not opened mine yet. So again, if I'd opened mine and had some time to spend with him, maybe he would have made my top 10 because he undoubtedly looks great. Completely pinless, big, thick, chunky arms. Again, another moustache, can't go wrong. I love the character that has a gimmick as well. And I like his gimmick. He's called Bazooka. You need him on the shelf with a bazooka. So I'll go to Mark here because this lines up very nicely. Because Mark, your runner-up for this year is also
Bazooka, yeah. Like Tom, there was two figures that they revealed that I thought looked really good, and one we've yet to get, which is Recondo, but Bazooka was the other one, and I like both versions, but I actually really like the look of this Tiger version. You know, I did like the look of original Bazooka, but I really like the look of this. Like you, Dan, I haven't actually opened mine, so. It's kind of a weird case of he's my number 2, but I haven't actually opened him yet.
That confident. You're that confident.
You're that confident. Okay. Yeah. What I'm hoping we do get this year, and I don't know whether I don't think he's not been rumored, but it would be great if we got him. Is Alpine, who is basically kind of Bazooka's like pal from the cartoon. So if we get a classified Alpine, that would nicely sort of make the double act of Bazooka and Alpine, and I'm sure we're going to get Alpine at some point. But yeah, I mean, lovely color design. I can't remember there being, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't remember there being a Tiger Force Bazooka in the original line. There probably was, but I can't remember. But this is kind of the first time I'm seeing it in the classified form, and yeah, I think the colors look just really pop.
It's Toy 101, isn't it? Where they give you the version you don't want first, so you buy that in anticipation for the one you do want, and then you end up spending twice the amount on the figure they knew you wanted. Like that's how they work, and we're all suckers for it. But we'll find a place for him on the display. I think he looks great as well. Like I've got no attachment to the American football jerseys of such, but you know what they are, and it does make him a little bit different on the display compared to the rest of the Joes. And it's another Joe, another good guy to add on the shelf. And again, he's got his gimmick. In the chat, Stryden says it's a classified Mario, and I can see what he's saying. I can see what he's saying. Maybe he needs. Maybe his friend could be wearing the green instead, and he can be Luigi too. But yeah, it looks great. I look forward to opening mine, especially now you two have both put him at number 2. I'm like, okay, is this another case where I should have opened him when I got him? I was sort of waiting for Recondo as well. Do you know, he's in stock now on Porsche. He's in stock on Porsche UK right now, because I think I've seen Phil, Cool Tools UK, get his. I think mine's on pre-order at Star Action, so I've not got him. But hopefully Recondo's not too far behind. And then
that's weird. Normally the independents get them first.
Exactly. Weird, isn't it? Very weird. So I nearly went and got him on, because he was in stock, I nearly went to Pulse. But I was like, no, because then I'll end up with 2 Recondos. I don't need 2 Recondos. So I'm trying to be patient. So maybe when Recondo turns up, I'll open him and Bazooka together, so I can put them straight in with the Tiger Force out back, and maybe then I'll open up Duke and his Tiger Force. And then again, I need more shelf space already. It's crazy. We're only in January, but yeah, I look forward to opening him for sure.
It's nice that he's got a ball at the diaphragm rather than the normal pin, which I think is a lot nicer. But I don't know if they did that because of the 14, because when I made my custom Bazooka, I did it on a body with a hinge, and it was really hard to get the 14 narrow enough that the hinge wasn't just completely distorting everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you'd have to have the long sort of 1 and 4 or something.
But yeah, then when you let him back, it was like the numbers went super long. So.
Yeah. Again, can't complain. Both like Recondo will be my Luigi, says Stryden in the chat. Craig Toys Collection, Craig's Nostalgia Collection says I got my Recondo from In Demand. Yeah, In Demand had some import stock as well, but it was a case where I've already got a pre-order, so I'm trying to like hold out and like with this, but because we've got a lot of Joes coming this year, so I can't go crazy. I've got to be patient and get them as they come. So I'll wait for the pre-order. But there you go, Bazooka at number 2. Okay, my number 2. Okay, my number 2 has already been mentioned twice again, but this one for me, was further up my list. When I originally made my list, my number two was further up the list. But every time I revisited my list, I was like, no, I keep having more fun with this figure. And I do think, like, fun factor is so important to collecting, and it was like, it needs to be further up the list, and it just kept going up. So my number two might be a surprise, or maybe not a surprise, but it's the bats. Like, I've ended up buying like maybe 4 to 6 of these. I think, yeah, maybe 6 bats. And like, when you buy 6 of one figure, you have to like it. I know it's an army builder, but like, I love this sort of robot cyborg concept. I'm going to buy every repaint of the bats they give us as well, by the way. I don't care how obscure it is. Like, I think this is a great figure. I love how you can display each one a little bit different. He's got the hands for his weapons, but then you can swap out the hands for like the hook, which is like a trademark of the bats. I love the beaten up sort of damage parts as well. So you have so many different display options. It's like a perfect army builder, and like it's like perfect for the Joe's line as well, because it's such a character concept that you're not going to see anywhere else. It's very much Cobra and G.I Joe, and yeah, I just really like it. I just really love the bat. And then when you start getting add-ons, like these add-ons didn't influence, it was always at number 2, I promise you, but when you get add-ons like this, it does sort of justify, like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. But even with these extra type of add-ons, you get the claw and the hose. The only criticism that I'd give these figures is that I wish the grey had a bit of a wash on it, so it sort of, I don't know, looked a little bit more, I'd give it a bit more depth, because the sculpted detail is there with the mechanics and stuff like that. It's just that flat grey. A little bit more wash on those grey elements, I think, would have made it pop a little bit more. But I love that you can expose the chest as well, and that gives it a little bit of colour. And I like the black and the orange. I can't help it. I just really, really like these. They're like the centerpiece of my villains upstairs at the minute. And then, yeah. So at the end of the day, when it came down to making this list, I was like, what figure have I had the most fun with? I've brought multiple of. I really still enjoy every time I pick it up. Like, I'm not getting bored of it. And I always keep coming to the bats. So the bat is my runner-up. My number 2 is the bats. So there you go. That is it. We've done our runners-up. We've given our silver medals out. It is now the moment of the gold medal. Who is taking home the gold medal? Now, if you are a G.I. Joe fan this year, it's not going to be very hard to guess what the majority of people's number 1 is going to be, if you have this figure. Because I think if you have this figure, it has to be at number 1, sort of, maybe. But we'll come to it. But we'll throw it to Tom.
I think you're talking about this guy.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course, it's hard to build this up, innit? It's hard to build the suspense. So I'm gonna go with you, Tom. You and me could just go at the same time here. There's no point waiting. Obviously,
he's just amazing. I mean, he looked amazing in photos at Comic-Con and stuff, and then in hand, he lives up to all of that.
Mark, could you have him yet?
No, I don't.
Okay, so there you go. This is the reason why Mark isn't holding him up with us right now, because he doesn't have him. He would undoubtedly be your number 1, Mark.
He would, yeah.
He's such a display piece, like Tom says. He looked great in the photos, and then when you get it, you know it's going to be good, but like you still get that wow factor when you start opening him up and building it and then getting it on display. Like, you still go, oh, okay, he is that good. Like, nothing disappointed me when I opened this up. Like, he's exactly what I even went and brought some acrylic sort of stands from Amazon, so I could have him rising and hovering on the display.
So how have you done it with the tiers?
So I've put him on the top shelf. So with my Joe, so I've got a Joe's and Cobra tiers shelf, and then I've got the top bit essentially, which doesn't have any tiers. So that's where currently Fiona's standing with this guy. But this guy's on an acrylic riser. So I've got some, I'll take a picture and put it on Instagram, but I've got some Cobra Troopers around him, so you can't see the acrylic riser. So it just looks like it's hovering behind. But yeah, the figure's got soft goods. The figure's got all the like the texture on the plastic. He's big and imposing as well. You got interchangeable parts for the sort of what do you call it, like the crown, or do you know where you can have it in a different?
Yeah, you can either have it with it's fixed.
Yeah,
and it looks a bit more authentic, or have you got it with the more movable head?
Yeah, mine's a little bit loose, where you can see a little bit of gappage at the top, which is annoying me a tiny bit. Maybe I need to heat that up and press that down.
I don't think I've got that.
Just a little gappage.
Tiny line.
Maybe that's my only, but that's just a defect of mine. Maybe just a tiny little thing. But other than that, even this has articulation.
Yeah, and there's a little gun in the map, which is a bugger to get out.
These guns are removable as well, so these are just extra ammunition for any of your infantry troopers. The actual the sort of, what do you call it, like the fan at the back actually spins, like if you blow in it, like not that you're going to be blowing in it, but if you got like a fan and put it under there for the display, it'd definitely work. I don't know if anyone's going to that extreme, but you can do it, is all I'm saying. And
even without the glider, he's so imposing because he is literally taller than any other figure on the display.
Yeah, so which is meant to be, of course, made by the crazy Mindbender, of course. He made this guy. And even like the accessories, so like Tom says, without his air chariot, you get like the retracted blades on his wrists and the long blades on his wrists. So you could have him like just in a fight looking intimidating against any of the Joes. Just honestly, Mark, sorry, when you get this in hand, you will understand. Just so good. So good. I'm sure the chat completely understand with this one. But yeah, I've not seen many G.I Joe top 10 lists on YouTube yet. I wanted to wait until we had done ours so I didn't get influenced by anyone else's thoughts. But I'm pretty confident, Tom, that this is going to be a lot of people's number ones this year. How can it not be? How can it not be? We just need the Cobra la 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 now to pose up with him, which I'm sure will come at some point. Emily did give me the suggestion they would be on their way. She did say this year would get a little bit crazier, so you don't get any crazier than the Cobra la 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 la. So there you go.
I hope we do.
Any final thoughts on the air chariot there, Tom?
Not really. It kind of speaks for itself. It's just so damn amazing in the hand, and I mean in photos and anything. It blows everything else away. I think until we get the stank, I can't see anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And as adult toy collectors, right? Yes, they're toys. Yes, we like posing up, taking pictures, but at the end of the day, we like displaying our toys. I think that's one of the biggest factors for us. We're building displays. We're world building. So we want our figures to be display pieces. And this is undoubtedly a display piece that draws your eye. Like anyone coming to look at your collection, you're looking at your Joes, will just get drawn to that air chariot, like the gold, the green. It's just so good. So yeah, very much appreciated. A worthy number one. But going to Mark's number one, it's got a little bit more of a personal attachment, which is what I love about these things.
That is true. Yes.
Over to you, Mark. So you're number one. You're number one. It is, of course. If you've been following Joes+Juice, you could probably guess this.
That's right. And I have them here with me, actually.
I've pressed the wrong button. 1 second.
Yeah, the Crimson Twins. Although I must say, if I did have Serpenta, he would be my number one for an attachment as well, because I had him when I was young. But...
Yeah, so everything in your list would have just got pushed up. So 10 would have fell off, and everything out would have just been pushed up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the Crimson Twins for me, the reason they are so nostalgic, as Dan mentions, is
But tell the story again, in case anyone hasn't heard.
Yeah. So when I was quite young, I must have been sort of just under 10 years old. I went to live in the Middle East. You couldn't really get. My dad got a job in the Middle East. You couldn't really get figures back then in the Middle East like you can here. Some places you could, but due to the fact that a lot of them, like say for example He-Man and things like that, were quite bare-chested and things like that, or showing a lot of skin, they sold all the vehicles, but they didn't really sell the figures. So
where in the Middle East, if you don't mind saying, Mark? Because people may be curious.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. So I went to live in Saudi Arabia, Dan, for about 4 years. Around 4 years. And I remember when I was being young, never have I more believed that Father Christmas must exist, because went there, went to all the shops.
Does still exist.
Yeah, I was like, he must be real.
He does still exist, don't you worry.
Couldn't get any figures. They had all the vehicles for things like Master of the Universe, like kind of thing. You could get them in certain cities, like for example the toy shops in the capital and things like that. You could get sort of figures. They sort of fly them over from either China or that part of the world, or the States, because of the influence of the States. But yeah, one Christmas I woke up and my grandmother had sent me the Crimson Twins from the UK, along with a few other things. So I'll always, when I look at them, I'll always have that attachment of that Christmas, which would probably be Christmas 1986 or 1987 or something like that, or 1988, one of those years. Where waking up on Christmas morning and finding the Crimson Twins along with other things and thinking, wow, Father Christmas, he must be real. He's managed to bring me all these things that aren't even available in the country. So,
is this the same year that your sister got? Was it Shipwreck your sister got, I think?
No, that was actually a bit before, but she did,
okay.
So, funny enough, actually, the very first two G.I. Joes that we ever got, it was from an Asda near us, and I got it was Action Force, of course.
Yeah.
I got Airtight, which I'm sure. So he's just nostalgic for me. That was actually even before we went to Middle East. So I'll be quite, I'll be quite happy to see him in the classified line. He'll be definitely one I'll pick up. But yeah, Shipwreck. My sister picked up We had sort of had one each, and my sister picked up Shipwreck. So that's another one that I'm kind of. And he's an extremely popular choice. I mean, people have been wanting Shipwreck, for ages. And I'll be even excited, although this will be more Super 7 Ultimates rather than classified. But there's an episode of G.I. Joe, which is kind of where Shipwreck and Snake Eyes have to go in undercover in disguise. And Snake Eyes sort of dresses like Boy George, and they dress in a band. And I'm sure Super 7 Ultimates are going to give us that version. So there'll probably be a sort of band member looking Shipwreck with kind of like glasses and a big yellow saxophone and all that kind of thing to come. So yeah, so that'll be exciting.
No, I love those type of personal touches. Like just think, as adults now, spending on our hard-earned money on toys and collectibles, there has to be some type of attachment from back in the day. Like it's like it's the way it works, that nostalgia, and I love hearing those stories for sure. So again, like yours makes a lot more sense than my stupid mishmash connection to this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, makes no sense.
Dan, it's funny seeing Dr. Mimevit, it does make me want a 6-inch or 1/12 scale Action Man line, and a Dr. X would be great.
Do you know what? I need to get it. I need to go and run and grab it. Right? So I know exactly where it is. It'll take me 10 seconds. Basically, this week, so on eBay, like us all, right? On eBay, we all have our sort of, wish lists or watch lists, if you will. So I'm always just checking and see what's available. And I'm trying to, just for my own personal collection, just pick up a few of the old Action Man figures I had back in the day, but just to keep on card, just so I can look at and smile for nostalgic sake. So I brought one this week. I'm going to go and grab it. So 1 second, talk amongst yourself.
Yeah, perfect.
So, what do you reckon is going to be your favourite figure out of the ones that have been announced this year?
Well, that is an interesting point, Tom, because I've seen the list, but I'm not actually sure what we've got coming. I mean, so maybe you can educate me actually with what.
Well, I'm not 100% on that, the entire list, to be honest. I think what's confusing is we've only got one more wave ahead of us, and nothing else is announced or pre-ordered, so it's not even clear.
I mean, figures I'd definitely be hoping to see would be Big Boa. And let us know in the chat as well if there's anything you're hoping to see in 2023. But Big Boa, Raptor, I'd quite like to see. There's a character I discovered sort of through watching YouTube the other day who I didn't know anything about, called Super Trooper, who's a G.I. Joe character, who's actually like a Captain America type. He's a super soldier.
I know the ABBA song.
Yeah. Super Trooper.
Okay, not that good, Mark. We might get demonetized with that. Really, yeah. Beautiful.
But I'd like to see him in classified form at some point. Yeah, he's essentially G.I. Joe's Captain America. So yeah, I mean, there's loads of, but I'm sure we're going to get those and many more. So Dan, what have you got for us?
Yeah. So we will finish the stream by just having a little glimpse ahead of 2023. But yeah, again, going off on a tangent here as we do towards the end of these streams. This is what I brought this week. So this is from. I'll see if it's got a year on it. Okay, 1995. 1995. So I was born in 88. So what? I was 7, 8, whatever. So my childhood, I just remember the bright orange Action Man packaging. He listened. The dog still talks. Can you hear it? I don't know if you heard it, but I was doing it, and Teddy, my dog, started looking around, going, "What the hell is that?" But 1995, and the electronics still work. So yeah, crazy. Anyway, he was one of my.
Is the dog articulated?
No, not really. No, he's like just a solid piece essentially. But he comes with loads of weapons, accessories, etc. I remember this one fondly. The dog's called Raid. There was a whole story, and like even back then they had promo images and stuff like that. But
I can remember. Do you know? I was 15 then, but I can remember seeing that in the Argos catalogue.
Yeah, like one of the gladiators was Action Man in the sort of shows they made. But there's loads of history to it. Me and Analog Toys did a brief video on Action Man. But I have been backtracking just to get my favourites, not them all, because they're quite hard to get. So I was very pleased. I got this for £30. Never removed. Exactly. This is like, I just think someone didn't know what they had and no one else was looking for it at that exact time, and I just got super lucky because I've not seen this for less than like 80 quid brand new before. So yeah.
Are you going to open him, Dan?
No. This is just for me to keep on card. You know, because I look at this and just smile. Like, this is my childhood in a box. Like, so I've got a couple of these. I'm just getting my favourite Action Men. Like, I had loads as a kid, but I'm just getting my favourite one. So there you go. But yeah, this is again Action Man and Action Force is what made me like the G.I Joe characters, because I didn't know it was G.I Joe until much later on in my life. So mainly obviously the G.I Joe characters were the same as the Action Force characters. They were the same thing. Not anymore though. Valaverse of course now have Action Force, and there's a whole new lore. But that's how our attachment to Joe's come about in the UK for sure. But there you go.
When those 1990s Action Man were coming out, because I was in my teens as well, and so I wasn't really in touch with all that. Was there a US version of those releases?
I don't know. I don't know if they were branded Action Man as well.
I don't think there probably was. No,
I don't. Yeah. I genuinely don't know. I know the Action Man brand was really popular in the UK, but I don't know if they even tried it in the US. Again, any American friends out there that are about our age group, do you remember the bright? Again, it's the bright origin packaging. You'll never forget it. But well, these.
I was wondering if they did like a rebranded release, because obviously Action Man and Action Force is quite British.
Maybe.
I didn't know if like they were originally like 12-inch Joes or.
It's a great question. I'd love to know. Like, I would genuinely be really intrigued to know the history of the 90s version of Action Man and if it translated over. I genuinely don't know, but it's a great question. Anyway, there's our top 10 G.I Joe classified. We always go off on a little tangent, but it was fun list, great figures, lots of great figures. 2022 was a great year for G.I Joe classified, and I genuinely think 2023 will be better. Like, we're getting the His Tank this year. There's look at these, right? Let me go back to our pictures here. So these G.I Joe classified are the pipeline reveals. So all of these have been revealed so far, but we haven't seen yet. So I'll read through them real quick. So this is what we're expecting in 2023. Rock and Roll, Shipwreck, Copperhead, Torpedo, Snowjob, Tunnel Rat, Grunt, Scrap Iron, Ripper, Firefly, Lowlight, Big Ben, Range Viper, Telly Viper with the Bubble Trooper, Hawk, Tripwire, Snow Serpent, Buzzer, Female Cobra Trooper 2-pack, Chuckles, and Shadow Tracker. That's a lot of figures and a lot of great characters. So much diversity in regards to their like skill sets and their attire. And I know we've already seen digital images of characters like Torpedo, for example, and Copperhead, Shipwreck, Rock and Roll. We've seen the female Trooper 2-pack was shown off, where we're going to get like an officer in there with different gear as well that can fit. The blue matches the infantry troopers we've got right now, so you can straight away start adding some females in there. The Bubble Trooper as well, another vehicle to add to the Cobra army. I feel sorry for our Joes, because at the Joes, everyone's going to be jumping on the back of Breaker's bike going, this is all we've got, give them more, this is all we've got. Like, we need some Joe vehicles, and I hope this year we do see some Joe vehicles. And again, we've spoken about that on the stream before, but out of that big list there, lads, I know there's a lot of characters there, but if you could just pick one you're excited to get in this year. I was about to say in the new year, but no, we're in it. This is the new year. We're in it right now. Which one is the one you're most looking forward to, or one that you are looking forward to, Tom?
Probably Shipwreck, maybe Snowjob. I'm torn between the two.
Yeah, who doesn't like a Snowjob? Mark, what about you?
Well, it was Shipwreck for me.
Yeah.
Shipwreck, yeah,
absolutely. I think for me, I'm going to say Big Ben, just because I just love the British attachment, and I was at Comic-Con when they revealed him, and the digital render looks great as well. I like the fact we're getting some female troopers too, and again, I've said it before, but I like the fact that we're getting like Snowjob, which is like more Arctic vibe, so like the the color palette will be different compared to like the very green aesthetic of all the Joes. And Torpedoes, obviously, we've already seen him in his like all swim gear type thing, his wetsuit essentially. So I like to add that sort of the specialists within a team now. Do you know, we've got our core Joes, now we've got like the water specialist, the snow specialist. I like that we're expanding into those sort of regions. So
and
it's gonna be a great
if you wanted to sort of build out the teams, if you like mixing, say Valaverse and Valaverse Action from G.I Joe, you know, there's a lot of fans asking Bobby for snow troopers, so they go well with Snow Job, and he's planning. You know, he has said before he's planning to do sort of like halo jumpers and divers, so they go great as sort of around Torpedo.
Yeah, Action Force are on fire. Wave 3 is shipping now, and I don't see any signs of Bobby slowing down. And like I am one of those people that sort of Action Force are sort of like a sub-line to my Joe collection, like so like they're on. Sort of on the same area of the display, but just their own little sub team. In the chat, just having a look. Few people excited for Lowlight. A few people looking for Jarhead to Snow Job and Lowlight. Greg says people have started getting the Ladies of Valor. Yeah, I've seen a few people online. I think Laserpants did an unboxing recently. Craig's Nostalgic Collection says Shipwreck, Big Ben, Torpedo, and the Female Troopers. Jarhead also says Scrap Iron and the Range Trooper. Ellis says the Lowlight figure is going to look tired because that man doesn't sleep like that at all. I don't know what you mean. Torpedo says Damien. Darren says we'll be getting 2 Shipwrecks to put one head on Torpedo body wetsuit. Yeah, I guess you could mix and match now. The line's getting that deep. Ravana Enbud Wing says Copperhead and Shadow Tracker. Christopher Allen says Chuckles. So many great figures, and we've got a little.
I think what's great is the list. I don't think there's a figure on that list where I'm not bothered about that. It's just a list of great figures.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen, just think some of the few at the top there, like the Rock and Roll, the Shipwreck, the Copperhead, Torpedo. We've already seen them. We already know what we're getting, what they look like. They're the next wave after they're the next wave after the one with.
I would have thought so.
With
Rock and Roll,
yeah. So we got
Copperhead, Torpedo.
Yeah, so we got the barbecue.
Have they showed Snow Job?
No, I don't think so.
No,
but we're getting 5 figure waves, so there's got to be another one in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's after that. Maybe it's after that wave.
They showed Big Ben.
Maybe it's him.
Yeah,
and they saved that reveal.
You can army build Big Ben because he's got that whole.
It comes with 2 heads. Yeah, absolutely.
SAS team. Yeah.
Again, and the bubble trooper Viper thing. What's it? The Trouble Bubble, for God's sake. Like, that's going to look great, like, on a display. Especially when we get the Hiss tank. We get the Hiss tank, you get 2 of them fanking the Hiss tank. So good. We're gonna need a bigger display is what we're gonna need. Just to end the stream, little sort of leak here. We've seen, so these are the Python Crimson Guards. So it's a repaint of the Crimson Guards in Python Patrol colours. So looks interesting. Obviously, this line's all about repaints and stuff. I'm not too sure if these existed in the old back in the day. I have no idea.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
They did. Yeah.
So
the only thing I have against them is them being called Crimson Guard when they're clearly not Crimson.
Yeah, 100%.
Should be called something else.
Python Guard.
Yeah, Python Patrol Guards. Yeah, you don't need to add Crimson in there. Like, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that statement for sure. But after getting the Python Patrol Officer with the yellow and the sort of crisscross pattern, it looks great in hand. So I don't mind. I don't mind that on these. For army builders, I think, as I said, my rule is I need 2. If you're an army builder, I get 2 of you as a minimum to represent the fact that you're an army builder. Unless you're an officer, then you don't. Depending on how many army builders you've got, like, again, I'll create rules just to break them anyway. So ignore everything I say. But it does look nice. It doesn't look as bad as repaints can get. I'm trying to open it as a bigger picture. There we go. See if we can zoom in. There you go. So yeah, it comes with everything you get with a Crimson Guard anyway, just now in the opposite colours. And yeah, it is what it is. So that's a little leak that seems to be a Target exclusive, as you would assume, because it's a Python Patrol. That's what Target exclusives are. So this in the UK wouldn't be an exclusive, but yeah, I guess it will be. I guess it'll be a fucking Hasbro Pulse exclusive. The greedy bastards. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how this year rolls out. But yeah, nice to see some little teasers and stuff like this. Just means that the figures that are coming, some figures are getting made that haven't even been announced yet. So we've got that big list of figures, But there's even more figures coming that haven't even been announced yet, and this is an example of it. Like, I know there's loads of G.I Joe communities like that are trying to crack codes and all of that stuff. Like, I don't go that deep. I just sort of sit back and I wait until someone does that hard work for us, like that leak there. So, yeah, great year, and last year was great. But just with a word, gentlemen, like a yes or a no, is 2023 overall, when it's all said and done, going to be a better year for Classified than 2022? Tom?
Probably.
That wasn't I wanted some commitment there. What about you, Mark? You
got one word.
It is a word. I just wanted a yes or a no, but you didn't break any rules there, Tom. You caught me off guard. Mark, what about you? You got any more confidence and probably? Yes.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Yes. There you go.
My caveat to probably was that as long as we get a HasLab for a Joe vehicle, then it will be as good as last year.
Absolutely, yeah. We shall see.
Well, there's a rumor, isn't it? There'll be a Joe vehicle this time.
Has to be. It has to be. I think
it has to be a Joe vehicle. Otherwise, Cobra are going to absolutely shitting on the ball.
Yeah, it has to be a Joe vehicle, and there's so many. Look, I know there's a few leaks going out there. Wherever it is, we need a vehicle for the Joes. Absolutely. All right, gentlemen. Thank you as always. First Joes+Juice of the year. This obviously will not be the last. We haven't actually had any official G.I Joe news yet. We are only 22 days into the year though, so we can forgive the team for that. But I'm sure we will be back soon after it. If there is a G.I Joe live stream any point within February, we will absolutely be on. As soon as there's a big chunk of news for us to digest, we will jump on for sure. But we did want to do, we did plan on doing this at the end of last year, but I got ill and lost my voice. So that's why it's been delayed this long. But it's January. So top 10's a fair game in January, especially when there's not been a lot of news. Phil Jones has jumped into the chat to say HasLab Canoe. Well, you got 3 backers right here if that's the case. Straight away, we're in. But as always, you can follow us and all our buying adventures on Instagram anyway. Links are in the description. They are also on the screen right now as we talk. But I'll let these guys tell you for themselves where you can find them online. Tom?
At Mini Plastic Multiverse on Instagram. And that's about it. I am on Twitter as well, but I'm never on there. So.
Yeah, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Mark, you do bother, and you're on YouTube as well. I'll make sure the link's in the description, but please tell the people.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, sure do. Yeah. So Instagram, Tac Tac Customs, but YouTube, Tac Tac Toys with Film. And Dan was very kind enough to comment on one of my latest videos today, which was all about action figures and films.
For the record, Mark, I watch like 90% of your videos. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 that slip by because you do make like sometimes daily content. So I just don't comment as much as I should. I'm the terrible text back person though. Like Amanda will text me right, and I'll think the response and just carry on living my life. And then she'll be like, "You didn't let me know." And I went, "Did I not text you back?" And she'll be like, "No." I went, "But I swear I answered you." And I did, but in my mind. So I think I do that with YouTube videos where I watch YouTube videos and have a quirky response, but in my mind, Mark. So in my mind, I've been replying.
That's right. It's like one mind, Dan.
Yeah. So in my mind, I've been replying. I've been thinking of responses to all your videos, but I'm just a lazy bastard and don't comment. So no, I do watch all your content for sure. I like your insight, and I get news from you. Like I didn't even know about the show.
Yeah,
Squid Games, right? I didn't even know there was a show about called Squid Games, right? Mark, one of his first videos was a video talking about Squid Games and the potential of action figures, right? And now I have Squid Game action figures in my hand. Did Mark Tac Tac make that happen? I think Mark Tac Tac putting that into the universe made that happen, all right? So go and check out Mark Tac Tac Toys with Films. And treat yourself. He's always got some little tidbits for sure. But links are in the description. They're also in the chat. Thank you to everyone who joined us here live today. This will forever live for the replay crew anyway. If you are on the replay, please get involved. Let us know your top 3 at least. Top 10's a bit go crazy. If you want to give me a top 10, I will read it. But give us your top 3. Who's on your podium? Who's got your bronze, silver, and gold medal of G.I Joe Classified for 2022? Again, my Tom's and Mark lists were completely different. Obviously, the same figures are in there and at different spots. Few same spots, but overall the lists were completely different, which is what's great about the line. There's no right or wrong answers. Please let me know your top 3 G.I Joe Classified figures of 2022 in the comments below, and I promise you all 3 of us will find them and read them for sure. But thank you to everyone watching us live. I can still see people in the chat. Craig, Sense Caesar, Jay's Toys Collection UK as well is still in the chat. He's probably building some sort of IKEA furniture or moving something around at this point. Home Dude's in the chat as well with the pals. Embered Wing Tyler. Rich M says, see you Friday the 14th. Well, what's going on Friday the 14th? Valentine's Day. Have we got something planned there, Rich? I didn't realise. I have to cancel my plans with Amanda now instead. Damien, Jarhead, Phil Jones, Iron Manuel, Literal Action Figs, Christopher Allen, Jarhead, Greg Finstab, Maverick5 UK, The Wolfpack. Thank you to everyone who dropped in. Damien, we appreciate you. As I said, we will be back the next time there's some G.I Joe news piled up as well, okay? So hopefully the next time there's a Hasbro Pulse live event and they announce the next wave, I think that's the next time we'll be back, all right? So let's hope February, okay? Which isn't too long away. Like, we're already at the 22nd of January, so we'll be back very soon. But until then, let's give them a quick wave, gentlemen. I will jump to my end screen. If I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Our hands start hurting. Here it is. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. There you go. Go and check out another video on the channel. Go and check out the whole playlist for Joes+Juice, and just go and listen to us talk about Joe's and our previous catch-ups. We'll be right about any of our future predictions. There's even a show. I'll make sure it's one of these videos that are up on screen now, where we predicted, well, we said what we would want the next HasLab to be. That's a fun show. Go and check that one out. And until then, we'll see you on the next one.